In this video, I'm gonna break down one SMS marketing strategy that you could literally copy and paste to get more replies and finally turn texting into a channel that books calls and closes deals. This is the exact strategy that we're running inside of our own business right now, and just this month alone, it helped us generate over 1,000 new qualified leads in our pipeline. And what's interesting is that this isn't some complicated hack or shiny new tactic. It's simply a smarter way of using texting, one that continues to outperform everything else that we've tested. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to implement this strategy into your own business to get more replies, start better conversations, book more calls, and ultimately grow your business. Let's get right into it. Before we jump into the strategy itself, we need to talk about why most businesses completely fail when it comes to SMS marketing. Because the truth is, almost everyone is doing the exact same thing. They build up a list, they send a generic message out to everyone, and they immediately try to sell a promotion, a discount, a booking link, an appointment reminder, and then they follow up again and again and again. And the real issue with this old approach is that SMS is being treated like a broadcast channel, when in reality, it's one of the most personal communication channels that we have. Just think about it from the lead's point of view. They barely know who you are. They might have clicked one ad of yours. They might have interacted with your brand for a few seconds at most, and there's no real trust yet. There's no established relationship. And there's really no reason for them to believe that you could solve their problem. And yet, they're immediately being sold to. That's why the old way of SMS marketing is breaking down, and why we need a new approach that focuses on building trust before pushing an offer. The strategy that's been absolutely crushing for us is what we call the reply first funnel. And the core idea behind it is quite simple. Instead of pushing an offer, instead of asking for a call right away, instead of blasting out information, we invite the lead to reply first. We use texting to start a conversation and to build context, and ultimately to build trust. And only after that relationship starts forming do we make our ask, whether that's booking a call, or showing up to an appointment, or buying something. That's the real big shift here. So let's break this down step by step. The first step of the reply first funnel is collecting the phone number at the very top of your funnel. And I don't mean just adding a phone number field somewhere in your lead form. And I also don't mean waiting until later in the sales cycle to ask for it. I mean intentionally rebuilding your form so that the two first questions are their name and their phone number. Once you have someone's phone number, you unlock the most direct communication channel available today. And nothing beats texting. You know, when used correctly, text messages could see open rates as high as 98% and reply rates close to 80%. And this one small shift, simply prioritizing the phone number, is what makes everything else in this strategy possible. So here's exactly how I'd build the lead capture form if I were you. So this is the type of form that I see most businesses using, and the main problem with this type of form is that the phone number field here is buried amongst all of the other fields that are being asked in this form. And the big problem with the phone field being the fourth, fifth, sixth question asked in your lead capture form is that people drop off. And this is something that you have to consider when creating any type of lead capture form, is that people will start entering information, they will get distracted, and they will leave. Or they will look at your form and look at the length of it and they will abandon it. Or they will just look at a specific question that they don't understand or that doesn't apply to them, and once again, they will drop off. And so what that does is that it never gives you access to the piece of data that's the most important to you, which is their phone number, because like I said, it's the most direct line of communication with your lead. So the type of form that I would suggest you create is one in which you're asking only two things, which is the person's phone and the person's name. The reason we designed it this way is that this is very low friction. It's very easy for someone to give you that information. And also, this gives you a direct line to them if ever they drop off. What I suggest you do is also working with a tool like iClosed or any other partial submission tool that's able to capture partial submissions. So what I mean by this is you first ask them their phone number, which we'll enter right here. You then ask them for their name and their last name. And then there's additional fields that pop up that they could answer, such as their email, their business, and all the other qualifying questions that you have. Now, the really nice thing about capturing the phone number first and their name first is that if ever your lead decides to drop drop off of this form because they saw these additional questions and they're not too down to answer them, well, we are able to partially capture their phone number and their name, meaning that we could then text them or we could call them whenever we want. And just to show you what this is going to look like in my CRM, even though I didn't fill out this entire form, you'll notice that I was still able to capture the lead's information and the lead's most important information, which was their phone number. So the big takeaway here is simple. If you don't have the phone number early, you don't have leverage. Once you do have it though, the next question becomes, how should you actually text that lead? Because not all text messages perform the same way. That brings us to step 2. The second step of the reply first funnel is choosing the right channel to send out these texts. And still to this day, for some reason, almost every business defaults to green SMS texts. It's as if businesses have completely forgotten the one device that their leads actually use, which is the iPhone. Over the past 2 years, I've analyzed over 50 million text messages across industries like brick and mortar businesses, coaching and consulting, med spas, fintech, and real estate, and the data tells a very clear story. iMessages and blue bubbles consistently outperform green SMS texts, especially when it comes to engagement and replies. Let's take a look at why that is. So what we have here is a comparison of reply rates when we send a blue iMessage versus a green SMS. And this is data that was collected over thousands of conversations this past month. And we have even more data when it comes to our clients' data and their text messaging. And the patterns are pretty much always the same. So on the top here, this blue quadrant, we're seeing response rates when we're sending iMessages to our leads, consistently hitting numbers of, over 80%. We're seeing 85%. 75, 89, 81, 83, 87, depending on, the day, depending on the campaign, depending on the type of offer that we have. When we look at SMS reply rates though, so people who had an Android phone that we were texting, our reply rates plummet down to under sometimes 30%. We're at 16%, 40, 35, 22, 30%. So we could clearly see that we're getting 3 times more engagement and 3 times more replies from people that were texting who have iPhones and that could use iMessage, which speaks a lot to the trust that people give to those different platforms. iMessage is considered a trusted platform on which people communicate on the daily with their friends, with their partners, with their families, whereas SMS, unfortunately, has become a channel that receives a lot of spam. So when people receive texts that are green and that are SMS, they immediately associate it to a spam text, and so they disregard it. They don't look at it, they delete it, they report it as spam, or potentially respond to it only 16%, 35%, 22% of the time. To prove my point even further, I've pulled some data from Statistica on the market share that iPhone and Android users have in the USA. And what's really important to note here is that in the US, iPhones have a 57.68% market share. So this means if you look at your current leads, at your prospects, at your clients, or your past clients, 57.68% of them are iPhone users that are using iMessage on the daily, and somehow you're still texting them on green SMS texts that they hate. Okay? And this point becomes even more relevant when we see that Gen Z and millennials are far more likely to be iPhone users. So if this is your crowd, more than 70, sometimes 80% based off of the internal data that we've collected of them are going to be iPhone users. So that's 70 to 80% of people that you're probably texting right now in the wrong colored bubble, which is a green SMS. Now, the other thing that we should note is that iPhone users have a 43.7% higher average salary than Android users. And indirectly, what this is trying to tell us is that iPhone users are far more likely to purchase whatever you are trying to sell them in your texting campaigns. Now, I understand that if you look at your leads and your prospects and your clients right now, it is possible that some of them do have Android phones and are using green SMS texts, and so we can't forget about them. And that's why, once again, I still do strongly believe that iMessage is the better platform to be texting them on, because iMessage supports SMS fallback, which means that if you do text an Android user who uses green SMS bubbles, your iMessage or your iPhone is automatically going to detect that and send the correct colored message, which is green in this case. So the key takeaway here is this: iMessage is the best channel to use because it's where the majority of your leads already are, and it's also the most trusted texting experience available. It even falls back to SMS when an iPhone user isn't detected, meaning that every single one of your leads are going to get messaged on the right channel automatically. So now that we've chosen the right channel, the next step is making sure we're using the right tool to actually run this strategy at scale. The third step of the reply first funnel is using a tool that's robust enough to support the entire system. That means we have to select a tool that could capture partial submissions and send both iMessages and SMSs, and track reply rates and centralize conversations in one inbox, and trigger automations based off of those replies. Without this, the entire strategy breaks. So let's take a look at the tool that's going to be able to do this. So the tool that's up on the screen here is really the only tool on the market right now that's centered around this idea of sending iMessages at scale for your SMS campaigns. The name of this tool is called SendBlue. I'll be tagging them in the comment section or in the description section of this video. But in a nutshell, it does exactly what we've been talking about, where you could enroll leads or past contacts or clients to a funnel and send them a series of iMessages for your SMS campaigns, as you can see right here. What it could also do is manage basically all of your automations that come with an SMS campaign, sending not just one text, but sending a series of texts one after the other, or even potentially automatically responding to incoming questions or incoming responses from that specific campaign. And I just want to show you what this is going to look like for our example that we did before. So when we entered that partial submission and we got that contact into our CRM, well, this tool SendBlue, what it's going to do is it's going to send them a series of automated text right here, as you could see on screen. At this point, we've built the backbone of the entire system. We're capturing leads correctly, we're texting them on the right channel, and we've set up the automations to run at scale. Now, the only thing left is what we actually say in those texts, because the wrong message will kill the reply first funnel instantly. So let's talk about scripts. So step 4 of the reply first funnel is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is to get a reply. So far, we've stacked the odds in our favor. We've captured the phone number, we've prioritized iMessage, we've automated the workflows. But if we now send the same old SMS copy, which is a long paragraph, links in the first message, and opt-out language, well, the funnel fails, because this isn't a broadcast. The reply first funnel exists to start a conversation, so here's how to script for that. The way that we script iMessages in our workflow is, first of all, with this idea of sending 2 text messages instead of 1 text message. This just makes it seem so much more natural and human to our lead when we're texting them. So the first text that we send is going to be a simple introduction of us. So we're just going to say something like, "Hey John, this is Tristan with SendBlue from YouTube," considering that that person just came in through a funnel on our YouTube channel. And then I'm going to wait 5 seconds and send a second text, which is going to ask them a closed-ended, low-friction question that relates to what you do or what you sell or to your offer. So in this case here, I'm just going to say, "Just saw you checked out our website. Are you using SMS in your business right now?" Notice how easy it is for the lead to reply to this text. It's almost a yes or no question or a one-word answer that they have to reply to me, which keeps it super low friction and that initiates a conversation. Now, if you need any type of help in scripting your closed-ended, low-friction question, I've came up with this little prompt that you could add to ChatGPT. So it's write me 10 examples of low-friction questions that I could text my leads or prospects that have just engaged with my company's website, which sells a texting solution for businesses. So this could be slightly changed for your specific use case. Tell the prompt how you engaged or how that lead engaged with your business so far. Are they a past client? Did they just watch a video of yours? Did they watch a VSL? Were they a referral? Whatever it is. And then kind of explain what you offer as a company. What is your offer? Are you trying to get people to show up to a webinar? Are you trying to sell them a product, a coaching service, whatever it is? And then let ChatGPT come up with these different questions. So we'll give it a second here. And as you can see, there's different closed-ended questions that you could use, that you could add into your texting campaigns right now. So all you would need to do is to copy these and bring them back into your funnel that we created created right before. So now we've done it. We've scripted the perfect two-text introduction with a closed-ended question that's pretty much guaranteed to get an 80% reply rate. But the reply itself is just the beginning. The real question is, what do we do with that reply? That's step 5. The 5th step of the reply first funnel is using that reply to move the conversation forward one step closer to your offer. Now that your lead has replied, well, you've got their attention, and their attention is everything. This is your opportunity to learn more about them and understand their situation and to uncover their problem. Instead of forcing people through a long qualification form, you can now take the same questions in that form and naturally work them into the conversation. And this is where texting in the iMessage world really shines. Let's take a look at how to do this. So as expected, our reply first funnel worked because, well, we got a reply, and this was all because our SMS campaign felt human. We reached out via iMessage, we separated our text into 2 texts, and we also asked a very easy question to answer, so our lead did exactly that. And so the goal now is to continue developing a conversation until you get to a point where it feels natural to pitch your offer. And there's really 2 ways of doing this, a manual way and an automatic way or an automated way. So let's go down the automated way first. What we could do in our funnel is program our funnel to wait for a reply. So this is going to wait till the lead replies like they did right here. And this is very relevant when you could expect or you could predict what the answer of the lead is going to be. In this question that I asked, it was very obvious that the person would probably say yes. And so therefore, it's very easy for me to add a branch where I could follow up with a different type of message, ask them an additional question that they didn't give me the answer to, such as, what CRM are you using right now? And I don't just have to write a text and iMessage to do that. Why not use a video to ask that question and to prove once more that I'm a human reaching out and just developing this relationship of trust with my prospect? So that's one of the ways, is the automated way, but we also could go down the manual way, which is, a sales rep, a setter, a closer, or a business owner just coming in to the SendBlue dashboard here and asking the questions themselves. So I could say something like, oh, great. Which CRM are you using, by the way? Keep it very short, very simple. Once again, you could send this off. And this is once again just going to keep prompting our lead to reply until it's natural for me to pitch whatever I want to pitch them, which in this case here would be to buy our product SendBlue. What you could also do here is, rather than just sending always plain text, you could send a video of yourself, or you could use my personal favorite feature and the best tool to use for follow-ups and to create conversations is voice messages, because iMessage can do that and no, SMS can't do that. So something that we could do here is just pop this open and say, oh, great. And I also wanted to know which CRM are you using right now. Are you using like Go High Level or Follow Up Boss or Close CRM? Or if you're not using any CRM, like what's your process for sending out these texts? And sending that out. Now, what you need to do is take the reply first funnel and actually implement it. So set up the form, prioritize iMessage, build the workflows, and send the messages. Because once this is live, you're going to start seeing a lot of replies, and those replies will give you real data on what's working and what's not. And at that point, the only thing that really matters is how you're writing those text messages. That's exactly why I put together this next video. After studying over 1 million real SMS and iMessage conversations, I was able to break down the specific do's and don't do's that separate messages that get replies from the ones that feel automated and get ignored. So if you want to dial this in properly and make sure that your text messages actually sound human, just click the related video on screen right here where I walk you through it step by step. And honestly, I'd recommend watching it right now while this strategy is still fresh in your mind so that you could implement everything without overthinking it. So yeah, I'll see you in there.